Israeli military launches major operation in West Bank city. There have been intense exchanges of fire between Israeli forces and armed Palestinian militants in Jenin refugee camp, in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli military began what appears to be one of its most extensive operations in the territory in years with drone strikes early on Monday. 8 Palestinians have been killed and 50 injured, health officials say. Israel said it had dealt a heavy blow to terrorist organizations, but Palestinians accused it of a war crime. An Israeli military spokesman said there was no specific timeline for ending the operation, but that it could take hours or maybe a day or two. Jenin has become a stronghold of a new generation of Palestinian militants. It has seen repeated Israeli military raids in the past year, and local Palestinians have been linked to multiple shooting attacks targeting Israelis. In 2002, during the Second Palestinian Intifada, Israeli forces launched a full-scale incursion in Jenin. At least 52 Palestinian militants and civilians and 23 Israeli soldiers were killed, and much of the camp was flattened during 10 days of intense fighting. As well as the hum of drones overhead, there are regular bursts of gunfire and the loud thuds of explosions coming from the densely populated refugee camp, which is home to some 14,000 people and is now a closed Israeli military zone. The Israeli military said its first drone strike overnight targeted an apartment that was being used as a hideout for Palestinians who had attacked Israelis and as a joint operational command center for the Jenin Brigades, a unit made up of different Palestinian militant groups including Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Drones were used for further air strikes and thousands of Israeli troops were deployed in what a military spokesman described as a counter-terrorism operation focused on seizing weapons and breaking the safe haven mindset of the camp, which has become a hornet's nest. Amid intense gun battles between the troops and Palestinian militants, the Jenin Brigade said, "We will fight the occupation, Israeli forces until the last breath and bullet, and we work together and unified from all factions and military formations." Ahmed Zaki, a resident of the camp, told the BBC that columns of Israeli army vehicles penetrated the outskirts of the camp from several streets. Palestinian ambulance driver Khaled Al-Ahmad said, "What is going on in the refugee camp is real war. There were strikes from the sky targeting the camp. Every time we drive in around 5 to 7 ambulances and we come back full with injured people," he told Reuters news agency. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 8 Palestinians had been killed by Israeli forces, including 3 in the overnight drone strike. They all appeared to be young men or in their late teens, some confirmed as belonging to armed groups. The ministry warned that the death toll might rise because 10 of the injured were in a critical condition. Another Palestinian was killed by Israeli fire during a related protest near the West Bank city of Ramallah, it added. The Israeli military spokesman said its forces had neutralized 7 Palestinian terrorists in Jenin overnight. Israeli Defense Yoav Gallant later declared that the Jenin operation was progressing as planned. "We dealt a heavy blow to the terror organizations in Jenin and managed to record impressive operational achievements," he said. Foreign Minister Eli Cohen said Israel was not intending to expand the operation to the rest of the West Bank. "Our goal is to focus on Jenin, and our goal is to focus only on the terrorists and their cells," he told reporters. A spokesman for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas condemned the Israeli operation as a new war crime against our defenseless people that would not bring security and stability to the region. Nabil Abu Radana stressed that Palestinians would remain steadfast on their land in the face of this brutal aggression until the occupation is defeated and freedom is achieved. There has been a surge of violence in the West Bank in recent months. On June 20, 7 Palestinians were killed during an Israeli raid in Jenin, which saw the military's first use of an attack helicopter in the West Bank in years. The next day, 2 Hamas gunmen shot dead 4 Israelis at a petrol station and restaurant near the settlement of Eli, 40 kilometers, 25 miles south of Jenin. A Palestinian man was later shot dead during a rampage by hundreds of settlers, who torched homes and cars in the nearby town of Termasaya. That week also saw 3 Palestinian militants from Jenin killed in a rare Israeli drone strike, after they allegedly carried out a shooting attack at a checkpoint near the city. Since the start of the year, more than 140 Palestinians, both militants and civilians, have been killed by Israeli forces or settlers in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, while another 36 have been killed in the Gaza Strip. 27 people on the Israeli side have been killed, including 2 foreigners and a Palestinian worker, in attacks or apparent attacks by Palestinians. All were civilians except one off-duty serving soldier and a member of the Israeli security forces.